Womanism, unlike revolutionary feminism, is a variant that sees the woman as a mother, wife, lover, and partner to the male in the society. The fundamental aim of the concept is not buttressed on binary opposition, but on unity in diversification of sexes. This is African Literature on the NTA, and I am Nina Bassi. Good to have your company always. This episode takes a look at survival and achievements against all odds.
The stance of feminism in Africa is clear. It does not question the divine injunction of the submissiveness of the wife to the husband. Yet, this submissiveness is not a mark of mediocrity, seeing that women have distinguished themselves in diverse human endeavors. The mission of feminism, therefore, is that of presenting the woman in a realistic and unbiased way. It deals with the transformation of the woman from her traditional state of unfulfillment to an elated state of fulfillment. Zainab Alkali, in her novel The Stillborn, highlights the fact that despite the low status which patriarchy and religion arrogates to women in Africa, self-actualization can still be achieved within the sacred bounds of matrimony and maternity.
When you read Stillborn by Zainab Alkali, you find out that the northern environment is being showcased as it is. Even though it's a work of fiction, you cannot deny the very essence of some of the shortcomings of the northern environment in terms of educational development, in terms of their cultural traits, in terms of what religion has been able to give to them. And so the plot is such that you have this amazing young girl who really does not want to fit into what her society fits her, but rather she's more explorative in her own sense. She wants things to be done the way she likes for it to be done, especially in terms of education, especially in terms of successes. And she's been seen as a very stubborn kind of girl because she violates almost all the doctrines of what the Northern Society stands for. But mind you, she's also very obedient and she also accepts the culture as it is. However, what she's against is the fact that she didn't have like that opportunity to do so many things that she wants to do for herself. That's the right word for it, I think, is independence. So her choice of independence is being restricted, but she on her own strive to get her independence. However, it will cost her, given the fact that she has parents who are very much against her. And if you read Stillborn very well, everybody seems to be against the character of Lee. So the novel opens with Lee going to school and they were in a lorry and the lorry swerved. So that is symbolic in a way because it tells you how her life is not stable the way she wants. And it tells you that she is also on a mission to exploring, to achieving her own purpose in life. So that's the bit of the plot.
The Stillborn, as the title of the text, is symbolic.
Once I see Stillborn, the first thing that comes into my head is like a child that's born dead. So I want to know, who is that child that's born dead? Lee feels like she's been suffocated so much that she needs her freedom. And she goes searching for her freedom to the point that she breaks a wall at night to go for a dance. So the dictionary defines stillborn as a dead child that's been born. And if you take it further, it tells you that something that you wish that fails. So when something is not developing to the point that you want and it fails, that thing can also be stillborn. So that's what stillborn is all about. So for this book to be titled Stillborn, you're going to see a lot of failings coming from either the society of the stillborn or either from the characters themselves or from the predicament that they face every day uh, um, in terms of environmental factor and what have you, or education and what have you. So that's what stillborn is all about.
Themes of love versus lovelessness, independence versus dependence, adventure, change, among others, were x-rayed by Zainab in the novel.
When we want to look at the themes of stillborn, it's also imperative that because of some of this lack of social and economic development in this environment, we we find out that the themes are very numerous. You find themes like love. You even find love versus loveless in that case now, because why is Lee's mother the way she is? And why did Lee have to leave Habu to go and get things that she wants gotten for herself? So there's theme of independence versus dependence. Because while Lee is so independent, you can find the character of Awa. Awa is so fearful and she cannot do things that Lee does. So Lee is more the adventurous type. So you find a theme of adventure. And then you find the theme of change in itself. So the theme of change can also take us to the whole idea of feminism over womanism. A lot of people confuse feminism from womanism. And like Professor Alkali will always say, she's my mentor, that she's a womanist, an unapologetic a womanist. She's not necessarily uprooting patriarchy, but she is saying that a woman can get anything that she wants for herself because she deserves to. After all, the essence of marriage is for companionship. So if she isn't getting that satisfaction of companionship, she has every right to seek it. And she does not necessarily have to go on the radical to prove her point.
Simple narrative style was adopted by the writer, considering the message and period of publication.
Like this book is a full-length novel, and it has a simple narrative style that anyone can pick and understand. And the narrative style is such that it introduces you to the North. And let me emphasize that Zainab Alkali is the first Northern female English novelist. And this is her first novel, actually. So for her to introduce readers to the North, it was the best thing that happened in the world of literature in Africa. It was the best thing that happened to the world of literature in Nigeria, because she is able to showcase the cultural, socio-economic, environment of the North. And a lot of people were now beginning to see the North for the first time, that after all, these people are not as primitive as everyone else thought. After all, these people are also versed and they really want this education for themselves. But culture and religion seems to have been a major challenge for them. So, so the narrative style is very simple in that line, so that anybody who is reading it can be able to dissect and enjoy the story for what it is.
As a novelist, Zainab's central characters are usually women, which she brings to the fore to pass a message. The Stillborn is not an exception to this.
Lee happens to be the most focused character, the main protagonist of the novel throughout. Even though you find out that she comes from an extended family where you have Baba, you have Faku, you have Sule, and the rest of other minor characters, including even the dance. So the character of Lee is so significant to the novel because she tells you about her resistance to achieving certain goals for herself. The character of Awa is visible but minor because she contradicts the character of Lee. Those are contradicting characters, and you have character of Mama, who is not even as outspoken as Lee, but also achieves self-independence to a certain level. So you have different women are being portrayed in this novel, including Faku, her friend, who cannot go to the extent at which Lee was able to. So those are the kind of characters that Alkali portrayed in her novel to show to you that yes, we can be in one society, we can agree and disagree in certain things. The choice is really ours.
Her language is simple English.
Northern literature has been much more preoccupied with writing in Northern languages, and in that sense, so we have a lot of Northern market literature, which we call the Soyeya literature, churning up at that time, and we have a lot of readers from the North at that time. However, there was no any other form of communicating to the outside world, the life of the average Northerner would do and all of that. So Zainab Alkali was the first woman who actually said, well, our story must be told in English language. So the language of communication is more important than the actual diction that's used in the book, because she explained in a very simple, not complex English.
The novel is set in the eastern part of the northern Nigeria.
You can see sketches of places like Jos, Plateau, Gombe, or Borno. So it tells you that it's eastern part of the north. It's set in the northern environment. It explored the northern narratives. It tells you about the northern everyday to-day life, including their cultures, their superstition, their religion, and what they stand for actually. So that's what the novel is about.
Zainab Alkali is described as a literary scholar to the core.
Professor Zainab Alkali, as we all know, she's the first female Northern novelist of English, and she's written so much work. One of the most famous of her works is The Virtuous Woman and The Stillborn, which happens to be her first, The Dissidents and Cobwebs and Other Stories. And she is still very much in the mainstream of literature. She's my mentor, and she's a womanist. Literally, she's a scholar to the core, well-traveled in terms of promoting literature and Africa to the other parts of the world. She's a very simple woman to the core. A lot of people will ask whether If Stillborn is an autobiographic note, but like she often says, it's purely fiction with a sketch of real life places and things that is possible to happen to real life characters.
Zainab Al-Kali is a northern woman who has emerged as a stallion and given the northern story a voice.
Stillbirth is Zainab Al-Kali's first novel, which conjures the picture of women's struggle to survive through any means as a way of responding to male subjugation in a society that would deny them a place, a voice, and visibility. Zainab is a northern writer born in February 3rd, 1950 at Tura Wazila in Borno State of Nigeria. Her Islamic family came from Tura Wazila in Borno State and later moved to a Christian village in the then Gogula State, now Adamawa, where she was brought up. Zainab is a teacher, novelist, senior lecturer, educationist, and a professor. She started primary school at Waka Girls Boarding School, Biu, and later to Queen's School in Lorin, Kwara State. Had the Bachelor of Arts degree in Bayero University, Kano, and the Master degree in African Literature in English from the same institution. Zainab Al-Kali, as a feminist, advocates for the liberation of the girl child and women in the society through her short stories and novels. She came to limelight of Nigerian literary scene with the publication of the long form, The Stillborn, which established her as a lone voice from the wilderness. By this, Zainab is seen at the time as the only female writer of significance from the northern Nigerian. A subsequent publication of Virtuous Women placed her at the fore of the now emergent voices from the northern region. She has worked as a senior lecturer in English department at the University of Maiduguri, Borno State, worked at Primary Healthcare Development Agency in Abuja, then Faculty of Arts at Nasarawa State University in Kefi. She won the Association of Nigerian Author Literary Prize in 1985. Some of her works include The Stillborn, The Virtuous Woman, Cobwebs and Other Stories, The Descendants, Invisible Borders, and more.
The need to blend two different ideas grammatically and logically in literature is imperative. Therefore, it's key to understand the next device coming your way.
Zigma is an interesting literary device that uses one word to refer to two or more different things in more than one way. It inspires the reader to think deeply. Zigma has been part of the English language since the 15th century and originates from Greek. In Greek language, it means joining, yoking, or bonding. In grammatical terms, a zigma is when a verb or adjective modifies two nouns to form one idea. Essentially, one word is applied to two or more other words in different ways. To get a better understanding of Zigma, here is a famous Zigma example from Star Trek: The Next Generation. You are free to execute your laws and your citizens as you fit. Execute above applies to both laws and citizens. So, in essence, they are saying you are free to execute your laws and execute your citizens. However, using Zigma simplifies the sentence and has a shocking effect. Zigma, like the pun, is economical. It contracts two sentences into one. It links unrelated terms, mental with moral, abstract with physical, high with low, and thus generates surprise. Types of Zigma. Zigmas are of two types. Those in which the governing word is the main verb. In this case, they are subsequently categorized according to the position of that governing verb. The second type is those in which the governing word is another part of speech, usually the subject noun. Examples of Zigma. The underlined words in the sentences below are Zigmas. All over the plateau, the farmers grew potatoes, cabbage, and spring onion. He fished for trout and compliments. He opened his mind and wallet every time he went out with her. She firmly held her tongue and her hand. The storm sank my boat and my dreams. She kicked that bad habit and soon after, the bucket. Importance of Zigma. Zigma, when used skillfully, produces a unique artistic effect, making the literary work more interesting and effective as it serves to adorn expressions and to add emphasis to ideas in impressive style. Zigmas are used by writers and poets from several centuries ago to add vividness and conciseness to their texts.
Diversity is an aspect of human existence that cannot be eradicated by terrorism, war, or even self-consuming hatred. So, let's claim the wealth of values it represents for all and make our continent a better place for all to live in. Here is our wise saying, and on that note, see you next week. Bye. Bye.
Ooh.